Today I want to inform the class on the negative effects of the use of mobile devices while driving. You all know how dangerous this is. Yes, we would all love to think that we can drive a race car and win a Daytona 500, but the reality is driving while using a mobile device can seriously injure someone or kill someone, and I don't think you want to be on that end. So today I want you to understand how mobile devices affect the brain while driving, the risks of handheld and hands-free cellular phones while driving, and what you can do to possibly minimize that threat. Now, say you're walking down the street or you're in a parking lot and a car just passes you by. Doesn't slow down at all, not even a little bit. Your first thought is what? Maybe where they come from, or maybe they didn't see me at all. The situation happens a lot, actually, quite often. More times blowing a stop sign or so. Okay, and the most common reason is because they're on a mobile device, during the day at least. Have you ever asked the question why people can't seem to drive and talk on the phone at the same time? Well, I will tell you exactly that today. My name is Mikhail Kervin, and today I'll be covering how mobile devices affect the brain while driving, the risks of handheld and hands-free cellular phones while driving, and what you can do to possibly minimize that threat. Now, we're first going to take a look at how your brain reacts to the cellular phone while driving. According to Drews, Strayer, and Crouch of the University of Utah, drivers who talk on a handheld or hands-free cell phone are as impaired as drunk drivers. Throughout America, there has been many vehicle accidents. Most accidents on the road are very unpredictable. Whether a person is fatigued on a cell phone or driving under the influence, there is always that uncalculated timing and risk that creates an unfortunate victim. Now, why do vehicle accidents involving drivers using cellular phones, even hands-free, occur so much that it's compared to drunk drivers? Well, one study conducted by the University of California suggests that you first understand why language, talking and listening, including cellular phones, interferes with visual tasks, such as driving. Now, the University of South Carolina suggests the reason for this is due to the fact that the brain will automatically pay attention more to the phone. Why? Mostly because when talking to someone, you have to listen. Okay, you have to understand what is being said in order to reply, which consists of you thinking about what you will say next, ultimately distracting you from the immediate task of driving. Many would argue that they can keep their eyes on the road while talking on the phone, which is true. However, there is the cognitive distraction. Okay, hands-free devices do not eliminate cognitive distraction. This is according to the National Safety Council. Now, you have an idea of how cellular phones affect the brain. Let's take a look at the risks of handheld and hands-free cellular phones while driving. Inattention blindness, slow response time and reaction time, and problems staying in your lane are just three risks. Okay, inattention blindness is when a driver, while using a cellular phone, would have the tendency to look but not see the objects that may be approaching. Estimates indicate drivers using cellular phones look at but fail to see up to 50% of the information of their driving environment. This is coming from the National Safety Council. Okay, slow response time and reaction time. Now, for every information input, the brain must take or must make many decisions. Okay, whether to act on the information process, how to act, how to execute the action, how to stop the action. While this process may take only a fraction of a second, all of these steps do take time. Now, when driving, fractions of seconds can be the time between a crash and no crash, injury or no injury, life or death. If you have driven a car before, then you know how easy it is to merge into another lane unexpectedly. It occurs more often when intoxicated or when driving while on a mobile device. Problems staying in the lane is actually less of a problem than most think, because when distracted by a phone, most people tend to be aware of their lane boundaries. So most people are able to stay in that lane, but they still are not really paying attention to the car that they may be coming up to. Okay, researchers say that this action is most automatic and less of a concern, surprisingly. Now, you know the risk of handheld and hands-free cellular devices. The big question now is, how can you minimize the threat? How can you try to minimize that threat? Hopefully, throughout this speech, you have already thought of some ways to prevent this type of incident. Okay, one way to minimize the threat is to not answer a phone when someone is calling. When you hear that tune, try to not listen to it. Try not to pick it up as much as possible. Okay, if you're with someone who just happens to pick up their phone while they are driving, let them know it's unsafe and they're putting everyone in that vehicle in danger. Okay. So now you have a couple ideas of how you can try to minimize vehicle accidents by not using the phones. All right, we will now take a few minutes to recap what I just spoke to you about today. Now, according to the National Safety Council, in January 2004, at 4 p.m. in Grand Rapids, Michigan, a 20-year-old woman ran a red light while talking on the cell phone. The driver's vehicle slammed into another vehicle, crossing the green light directly in front of her. The vehicle she hit was not the first car through the intersection. It was the third or fourth. Now, the police investigation determined that the driver never touched her brakes and was traveling 48 miles per hour when she hit the other car. Now, the crash cost the life of a 12-year-old boy. Witnesses told investigators that the driver was not looking down, not dialing on the phone or texting. She was observed looking straight out the windshield, talking on her cell phone as she sped past 4 cars in a school bus stopped in the other southbound lane of traffic. Researchers have called this crash a classic case of intention blindness caused by the cognitive distraction of a cell phone conversation. Just keep this in mind when you want to pick up that phone while you're driving. So we went over how cellular phones or mobile devices can affect the brain while driving, the risk of handheld and hands-free cellular phones while driving, and what you can do to minimize that threat or to possibly minimize that threat. Now, the examples given are to prevent incidents when driving. Okay, take the time to do a little research, and believe me, you'll be amazed at some of the type of accidents resulting from cellular phones. But you can also look up some ways of preventing these kind of accidents. Okay. Thank you very much for your attention, and I hope you enjoyed this informative speech.